President, I'd like to introduce my fellow trustees, Maria Haug, Elisa Pelosi, Jeannie Kerr, and Julio Ogeen. Also joining us this evening is our student representative to the board for her last time. And we got a few parents out there. Miss Sammy Rabin. I'd also like to introduce our excellent district staff, Superintendent Dr. Mary Lou Wilson, Chief Business Official, Miss Andy Stubbs, Chief Academic Human Resources Officer, Mr. Christopher Heller, Executive Assistant to the Superintendent and Governing Board, Ms. Erica Madrigal. We're delighted you're here this evening, and we do have people. We didn't have anybody before, so it's always fun to have some people. And if you're viewing us on Channel 27 or on a YouTube channel, a copy of this board meeting video will be available at our website, www.stlenaunified.org. In connections with items A, B, and C, the board received information and provided staff with direction. At this time, we're at 5B. Please stand and join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We are up to item number 6, which is public comment on open session items. So this is anybody who wishes to address the board on something that is not on the agenda tonight. And please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. One last reminder is that because it's not on the agenda, the trustees are not allowed other than to thank you for your comments. So we can't do anything. So you don't expect anything from us. So please, Mr.
No expectations.
Right.
Thank you.
And I'm going to get the clock rolling. No expectations.
State my address. Okay, time's ticking. I didn't really necessarily prepare anything tonight, but I know some people are going to speak on behalf of the band choir change that is happening in our district. And having been here over the last 10 years and working under both models that we've had, over the recent years when we aligned our schedule with RLS, which was one of the barriers in the past that really kind of prevented that program continuity and sharing of teachers and program, having that change has afforded us an opportunity to really grow the visual performing arts across our district. So in working with the affected staff members and recognizing the need to build that continuum within our band and our choir program, as much as there has been some initial worry and concern, seeing the potential that we have here in adding sections of music, and then having that opportunity to groom students from as low as 5th and maybe even 4th grade, at least in the choir program, and working with the RLS in growing their choral offerings, and even just socially, emotionally, from the ability to drop off from school to school. Yes, it comes with challenges, but there are some real opportunities that we've discussed and talked about with staff that they really see the potential in now, and they're really latching onto. So this is not to discredit any emotional sentiment, but it really is it's not a personal thing; it's a positional thing. So I'm very excited by it. I look forward to hopefully seeing uptick in numbers of students participating and increasing those opportunities for our students. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else wish to address the board? Please come on up to the mic. Thanks. That's all right. It looks really intimidating, but it's quite easy.
Okay, so I'm Aaliyah. I'm currently a student of Miss A for I am a flautist of the band, and I came here to tell you my story about Miss A's impact on me and what this division between the choral and the band program with her is kind of impacting me at the moment, if you'd be so kind as to listen for a little bit.
Of course.
So I came from a small school. I'm from Hell Mountain. I learned hardly anything about music except for a few notes and rhythms there. And when I walked into Zero Period Band, I was expecting to be taught at the same level that I was familiar with. This wasn't the case, of course, and it was a big surprise when I walked in that day. Within the first week, I was ready to drop the class, but Miss A did not let me. She held on to me and dragged me and encouraged me and worked with me until I was raised to the same level that everyone had been kind of expecting from me. And I'm grateful to her for that every day. She invested an incredible amount of time in elevating the level of the band and connecting with her students. And I just think that she really has done a great job in connecting not only the band, but also the choirs together. And I thought that maybe if I came up here and spoke today, that I could have some sort of persuasion over you guys about the decision, although I'm sure I'm probably not going to be much. But this was my story, and I just wanted to let you know because I was hoping you would consider the student's point of view here. In addition to my little spiel, I did have a list of the petition of students who had supported this idea. Unfortunately, I messed up, and we had a bit of a crisis, and I don't have it with me at the moment. However, my father is bringing it here right now. So if you could be so kind as to maybe allow me to bring it in at the end of the meeting, or maybe email it or mail it to you, I will get that to you. I also memorized several of the names of the students on that list, as well as the members number of members who signed it, if you would like to know, but if not, it's fine.
So if it's all right, I'd ask that Erica, if you give the information to Erica, Ms. Madrigal, that the way we could get that information out to the trustees with the superintendents would be your Friday memo, to be able to include that as an item, and that everybody would see the names and everything. So that, I think that would be fine.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak? Please.
Hi, my name's Ellie Islanian. I'm also here as a member of the band department here at school, just to speak about the change that's recently been made. I have a whole speech prepared, but hearing what Allie and Mr. Cinto have said have kind of changed my mind, and I kind of want to just speak to you from the heart. I've been a member of the band program here since 4th grade. Sorry. And as much as I am very sad to see Ms. Arendonda go, I know it's a change that hopefully will benefit our school department. I would like to say that she's done a great job. I'm really grateful to have had her as my band teacher for 3 years. I wish it could have been longer, but she's a fantastic teacher. The middle school is lucky to have her, and the choir will continue to have her, and that's great. Originally, I just wanted to come to the board to express my disappointment and say how the issue was handled didn't respect maybe the values of the students, but more I would rather like to spin it on a positive note and say Ms. Arendonda is a fantastic teacher. She has provided me with some wonderful experiences here at the high school. I did not expect to get emotional at the meeting, but here we are. So I would just like to say I appreciate that you guys are here to listen to the students, because we get obviously very invested in what we do here at the school. Miss A is a fantastic teacher, and I hope that the band program will continue to grow even without her, because she is the heart and soul of it, and she's done a fantastic job the years she's been doing it. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to address the board? Okay.
Good evening. My name is Isabel Flamson. It's kind of weird to be on this side because I used to be on that side with you guys. But I am Aaliyah Flamson's mother, and I just wanted to say I've worked with Miss A the last couple months, and it's been amazing. I think that the culture that we had with her was awesome. I just want to let you know that I would really appreciate it if we could just continue to like mold the drama, the music department together, and eventually create, I guess, a bigger impact as far as raising funds and supporting these kids and these efforts that they're doing with this music. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the board on items that are not on the agenda tonight? Okay. We're on to item number 7, presentations. Presentation by the St. Helena Boys and Girls Club, Mr. Trent Yuseni. I was gonna do a hard C, and then I better go soft. All right.
Yeah.
Yaconelli. Thank you.
Hello. So there'll be a little slideshow going on of just some of the stuff that we're doing with teens. We just started this about a year and a half ago, working with the teen population as there was a feeling that there was a need to start work to reach out, give kids a place outside of school. And in April, you can see some of these pictures. We were just up in Oregon where we took 30 teens up there, and we spent part of that time in silence, and part of that time is just kids being kids, goofing around. They got to spend time canoeing, hiking, whatever it is they want to do. We had 2 rules. You had to meet us in the morning at 10, where we did what we call the heart exercise. And we would talk to the kids about their gifts. What did they thought their gifts were? What were they curious about in their life? What was going to be their source of love in life? And outside of the school, and just that focus of what are you going to do? It's just like what kind of person, human being you're going to be. And the other one was at night you had to meet us in that what we called the chapel there, which was that round building that was up there with the candles. Round building, a guy had built it. One man built it with his hands. Who he had a PhD, but he said, "This is my PhD," and he lives up there in the woods. And so we took the kids there, and you had to come to that. And there was a candle bowl and silence, and that was it. And you could say, there was an invitation to say what you're grateful for. And all the kids said, "Oh, you're going to do something. You're going to make us cry. We're going to do these things." I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to provide this space for you guys, and you guys can do whatever you want with it. So they all came in there with their arms crossed and was like, "This is dumb." And then one person is all it takes. One person who comes up and says, "I'm grateful. I'm grateful for my mom. I'm grateful for the things that my hard stuff that I'm going through right now." And suddenly those things start opening up. And by day 3, we had a night where every kid is having a rough time. They lost a family member, lost a niece while we were up there. Their dad's in prison, and they're sharing these things. And some of these kids are, we did half St. Lena, half Calistoga. And these kids who are not supposed to, you're supposed to be competitive against each other. Suddenly they're just like, we're just all in this together. And we had one of those big moments where all of these kids are sharing that goes late into the night, and they want to keep sharing. And finally it was quiet. There was a lot of tears, and I had the kids, we laid down on the ground and we looked up, and if you look up, there's a big window on the ceiling where your candles, you can see them in the stars. And that is what we're trying to do. That moment is to create an open space for these kids where it's not so much pressure. And in that moment when these kids said, "I think I'm going to be all right." And I feel like the Boys and Girls Club and what I'm trying to do with the teen thing is like, you guys are nailing it with the education and the academics. I don't want to do school after school. They've got enough school. You guys are doing that. You've given them many opportunities. So ours is like, when do you need to take a breath? And how can we saddle up next to you with whatever's going on in your life and have a conversation with you? We do college tours. But a lot of our college tours, we took the kids to Santa Cruz. We're trying to get them out from only going out right there. Only going to SRJC and Napa. We were like, let's get them somewhere. And there's some of these kids, it was like, hey, some of these kids, they're not interested in college. And I'm like, I don't care. Let's get them somewhere. Let's show them that the world is bigger than just this place. And whether it was Oregon or Santa Cruz or different, there's kids who are like, I never left this area, and we forget that. But that's what I'm working with, and I've been working with Mary Lou, and the school district has been supportive. We do every Thursday night. There is open academic time if you want to do that or play basketball. Chef Carl comes and does food for the kids and cooks with the kids. They're allowed, if they want to come into the kitchen and learn different stuff to cook, they can come in there and do that with him. He's really awesome, by the way. He's going to do a week a cooking class of cooking during the summer with us. They also do teen takeover nights where they get the whole Boys and Girls Club because all the little kids leave. So they come over, they take over, they stay there from 7 to 10. And they watch movies and hang out and do all that kind of stuff. So that's we just recently spent we've invested about $200,000 into the teen programs, and we just bought 2 new vans, and we'll be doing, now we're getting into STEM and some robotics competitions as well, but in a different way is what we're trying to do. That's basically think what you wanted me to touch on here today is that's what we're trying to. I'm trying to kind of saddle up next to you guys and walk alongside you of like how can we help out this community. That's it.
Thank you very much. Trustees, any questions, comments?
Sounds like great stuff going on.
Thank you. Thank you very much. No, you did. Okay, we are up to item number 7B. It's a presentation by the soon-to-be departing student representative to the board. I know.
It's crazy.
You're on, Sammy.
Okay, so it's kind of a long one tonight, so bear with me. But starting off with the primary school, I visited the second grade students right after they got back from their field trip to the farmer's market that happened last Friday. While they were there, they learned about supply and demand by talking to vendors about their products. And I learned that strawberries go very quickly because they're very high in demand. And then to go with this, they had Business Day, which was on that Friday as well. And for Business Day, each student in second grade made a product that all the other students could buy using money. So they had their own kind of farmer's market, and all the products that they made were made with recyclable materials, which is always great. They also had their Cinco de Mayo celebration on the 3rd, where each class performed a dance to celebrate the holiday, and those are some pictures from that. And everybody loves, that's one of the best events that they put on throughout the year, and all the kids love seeing their friends dancing, and they love performing, so that's really fun. So next for the elementary school, the 5th graders went to 5th grade camp last week. They went to Walker Creek Ranch in Petaluma. While they were there, they got to study the ecosystem of the area, take hikes, visit the creek, and learn to work on the farm that is there as well. It's a really cool trip also because a group of high schoolers go as the counselors, so they can kind of act as role models for the kids, and it also allows them to meet older kids that they wouldn't normally meet just because of the age difference. And then another really cool thing about this year that's different from the other years is a group of special ed students also got to spend the night because one of their teachers drove them up on their own. And because it was in Petaluma, they could drive back if anything happened, but it all went very smoothly, and the students really liked spending the night with their friends and the other students, and it just made it very inclusive and a really cool year. There is also a group of 5th grade student council members that are continuing their dance club practices for the upcoming talent show that's on the 30th. So they practice every Tuesday and Thursday at lunch, and they're very proud of the work that they've done so far. The dance will include 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, and you can kind of see they're doing crazy stuff. They're doing like rolls, and it's if you want to go to the talent show, I highly recommend it. They're going to be very excited to share their work with the whole school. And there's also a new club on campus at the elementary school devoted to campus cleanup and staying environmentally conscious. And the club was started by a 4th grader named Ellie Riley. That's actually, she's not in that picture, but that's a picture of the poster that she drew to remind students to pick up trash around campus to help keep the campus clean. And then that kind of just snowballed into a club. And now they're branching out by giving flyers to each class so that all the students can get involved. And they even wrote a jingle, which is really cute. And they sang it for me, and it's really cute. And then to reward the students for signing up, they're making homemade bookmarks that they're giving out to all the people that join. So moving on to the RLS, the 8th graders got back from Yosemite a few weeks ago. They had a really great time. The weather was beautiful, which is definitely great since they're hiking and spending a lot of time outside. And those are some pictures. It looks so beautiful. Yeah. The school is also, they just finished their dance unit on the 19th, and they ended with a big performance for the parents and staff. And they're you can see some of the special needs students that also got to get involved, which is always a plus. And the students are also entering their testing, their CASP testing for the next few weeks during their block days. So the 8th graders will start by taking the science test during the first week, and then all of the students will take the English and math tests on the second week. So finally for the high school, On April 18th, our leadership class went and had a leadership exchange at Pittsburgh High School, which is in Pittsburgh, California. And so we got to experience a day at a huge school that's definitely more diverse, and it was a really, really cool experience. All of the students really had a good time. But while we were there, we also got to see their Multicultural Rally that they have every year, where the different student organizations and clubs, they put on an assembly where they can perform. Like, a lot of them like danced and sang, and just to show off the different cultures and ethnicities that are present on campus. And so when we got back as leadership students, and Miss B helped us make this transition, we were really inspired by the leadership program that they created, because even though they were a huge school, they still found a way to get so many different people involved, and everybody was just so excited about the programs that they had created and the events that they were putting on. And so we decided to completely change our leadership program and rework it to follow a SOTA model, which is an acronym that stands for Sound and Spirit, Outreach, Design, and Activities. And so instead of having committees, which is what we had before, that are responsible for their own few events, every event that the class puts on now will be a collective effort from all the different teams. So for example, our rally coming up next Friday will have Sound and Spirit. They'll make like the playlist, and then there'll be like the MCs at the actual rally to help kind of hype people up. And then Outreach is going to help with getting different student clubs and organizations involved. And then Design makes all the decorations and prizes, and Activities does kind of like the groundwork, like games and activities that we're gonna have. And so we're all just very excited, because it's gonna make it a way more inclusive class, and so we can all work on things to be proud of together. And then just some quick things for the rest of the year. AP tests are going on this week and next week. And then we also have our end of the year rally, as I said. There we will recognize ASB officers, class officers, and there's a bunch of teachers that will be leaving us this year, so we really want to honor them and acknowledge them. And that's where we'll also have our senior slideshow to recognize where all the seniors are going to end up next year. That's all I have. Thank you.
Sammy, it has been such a joy to spend the last 2 years with you. You and I know that we spend more time together than you do with the board members, because we meet for lunch meetings and other times during the day. And the growth and energy that I've watched in you has really been a pleasure. You have a very quiet soul, and yet you're a very strong individual. The presentations that you've been making to the board have grown each time, and in interest and in visuals. I know that as you move on to George Washington University, that's all right, we can applaud, that you're going to find your voice there as well. You're going to embrace education and your next steps in your career. And this isn't a farewell. This is we'll see you again soon, because I expect you to stop by. I'll always have lunch for you, and keep me posted. One of the really important roles of the student board representative for me is keeping that pulse on the high school, and coming to me and letting me know where the pressures are, what's working, what's not working. And thank you for continuing to do that these past 2 years.
Go ahead, Julio.
I'll go first, since I sit the closest to you. No, I just wanted to say it's been a pleasure. Obviously, we sit here for a couple hours every month, once a month, but just definitely appreciate all your reports, and having that student voice, like Mary Lou said, has been just really refreshing. And I know that you're going to be successful in whatever your next steps are, but I think this experience is going to serve you well, just seeing this part of this process. It can sometimes be long and sometimes boring, but you sit there and it seems like you're learning a lot. So congratulations and thank you.
You know, I'm going to go next because I'm already teary-eyed, so I want to get it out quick. I'm always teary-eyed at this time of the year. So mine's very quick, but it's very heartfelt. Thank you for being our student representative. Thank you for representing our students, all of our students. Thank you for your hard work in school and for being here and just in life, your community service, everything. And thank you for your very, very kind spirit. We're going to miss you a lot, and best of luck to you. Best of luck. Best of luck.
Okay, so I know Ellie said that she didn't think she would cry at board meetings, but I'm going to probably break that tradition right here. So, I know, sorry. I've known her since she's been 4 years old. So probably next to my own children, she's spent the most time at my house. But I think one word I have is gratitude. I'm grateful for you in my personal life. I'm grateful for you being here and stepping up and taking this leadership role. It's been amazing to watch you go from licking frosting off cupcake containers to being a student leader and speaking up for your students and speaking for your students. I know the world is waiting for you because I've seen it happen firsthand. I love you, and I'm so proud of you, and thank you for doing this job.
Well, that's very hard to top. but again, Sammy, I know we've all had kids in school. We know how much work there is in the normal student day. And to take a commitment on like this that is serving your fellow students and helping us know what's going on from your perspective in the schools, it's really important. And I just want to say thank you. You did an important job. You did it wonderfully. And we really, really appreciate going above and beyond the average student and really doing something for your community. Thank you.
I also think I fit that 4-year introduction, possibly. Get some head nods from the parents over there. Exactly. Sammy, so great to see you fill into this role. You did a wonderful job for us and for the students. That's really what it is you're the voice of the students. You bring your heart and your passions that come from the students up to our level. And it's always refreshing. Your reports, as Dr. Wilson said, just got better and better, and could really sense the engagement that was going on at the different levels. And so for me, it's almost a bursting of inner pride watching somebody from 4 years old grow up and do something and leading and now going off to George Washington University. And it's really exciting, and we're excited for you. And we want to thank you for everything you did for us and the time that you spent. So with that, we have a little memento for you on your travels. And I'll come over and give that to you. But thank you again for everything you did. So round of applause for Sammy, please. Actually, you know what? How are we going to do this, Mary? We're going to take a picture. We're going to all take a picture. When in doubt, take a picture.
Twitter, the first one out. Tweet it.
And I'm kind of surprised the police have not shown up yet. And the reason why is because we went out of order on our agenda. We got so carried away with Sammy's report. So we kind of skipped the board member report. Maria, are you able to come back to us? So what we're going to do is we're going to have Maria give her report, and Dr. Wilson give a report, and then we're going to do a little break. And so, Maria, please.
So I would like to report out on the 5th grade orientation at RLS, which I was able to attend. And this is the first year that the orientation was offered during the school day. And it was possible because of the collaboration period matching with the time available from the elementary school program. And so I guess what I heard from Corinne is in past years, the students have enjoyed the orientation day for the 6th graders over the summer or before the start of school, but they all said that they wished they had a little bit more. And I think that this really fit the bill. The students went from, I was able to see them in math, science. Here they're building. They were given a science project during their science period. The bells rang, and then they would transition to English, history, science, and math. And so they really had a feel with how it was to move to the different classes in their little 6th grade pod. I think it was because the other students were on campus, it was more of a realistic experience than maybe attending in the summer when they were the only ones there. It was a great introduction. They were given projects in each class, that it wasn't a lecture of what you're going to learn. They were actually engaged in projects that are very much like what they will be doing in 6th grade. So I thought it was a great experience for the students. I think that there was good feedback, I'm assuming, and I hope that since we've found this model that it works, and hopefully it'll be carried out. I think that transition from elementary school to middle school is just huge, and any way that we can make it less stressful for students, the better. And then, speaking of stress, the other little thing that I'd like to tag on, this was building the towers in the science class. They were given a set amount of time to build a tower with 10 strips of paper as tall as they could. So it was quite interesting to see the different ideas working as a team. I won't spend too much time on that because I know that we want to get on with the rest of the board meeting, but it was a great experience. And then one other little thing I wanted to attend, but I wasn't able to. That following Friday, there was an optional experience during physical education that students could have, and I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, Qigong. There was a Qigong instructor who came on campus. Qigong? And if the students wished to learn about Qigong during PE, they were able to attend that class. And so this is part of our wellness, opening opportunities up for stress reduction and physical fitness. And I think that, thinking outside the box and giving students these opportunities are a great thing. So that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sounds like a great program. Dr. Mary Lou Wilson, please, superintendent report.
Yes, it's this time of year when we say farewell to our student board representative. We say hello to a number of end-of-the-year activities. And I just wanted to make sure that the board and the community is aware that all of our end-of-the-year activities for each of the school sites are posted on the district website, and then in addition, individual activities for a particular school site are on their websites. Those that are probably the transition activities, our 2nd grade has the Amazing Race on June 4th. They'll be stopping by, I can't say that, never mind, because it's amazing and they don't know where they're going. The elementary school will have their picnic and promotion ceremonies on June 5th. RLS will have their promotion ceremonies on June 6th. And the high school will have graduation ceremonies on June 7th in the evening. It's a busy time of year, and I know each of you are working to get to as many of those activities as possible. And I know that the community and the students appreciate our presence. And just huge congratulations to all of our students, and a huge thank you to all of our employees for continuing to ensure that every day, every student gets everything that they need.
Thank you very much. And with that, let's go ahead and take about a 5-minute break, please.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Come back.
Since it popped up and it was in my face.
No, I don't think so. That's what I was. It's not looking across. Well, I also just ate. I ate in there whatever they had. They had meatballs. No, I'm not sick. I'm definitely not. Oh, you are? You got the No, I'm still. Oh, maybe that's why. I think it's really
I mean, I'm so I just want to say thank you. Yeah. Whatever, honestly, whatever. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so we are going to convene back. We're on item number 8, board-related items. First one is information, discussion, and potential approval of Board Policy 5117 and review of related administrative regulations. Dr. Mary Lou Wilson, please.
Yes. Over the course of this last year, we've been looking at our board policies and our administrative regulations around inter-district attendance, district of choice, and ensuring that they are compliant and in alignment with Ed Code. Last month, we had a study session where legal counsel presented recommendations for board policy 5117 and then additional recommendations for the administrative regulations. The in body, the recommendations that were made at that meeting and that you discussed are largely the same. There were a couple of minor adjustments that I want to bring to your attention as I am bringing Board Policy 5117 to you for potential action. Within the Board Policy 5117, on the second page, we added language that talked about in the event that the district ceases to participate in district of choice, you as a board indicated you wanted to have language that would allow students to finish their school career in St. Helena Unified. And at the time, the language was written that they would be on an inter-district attendance agreement. Upon further clarification, legal counsel indicated that the students would be allowed to stay as district of choice students through the span of the school that they are attending by Ed Code. And so in alignment with that language, we would call them district of choice students through their entire career in the district. So that is the change to the board policy piece. With regards to the ARs, which are on the agenda for information for you, you do not need to vote on these. A minor change was made I'm sorry, I don't have these memorized. In the AR 5117, there was an additional line about students who were attending and that they would, if they moved, they would be able to come stay if they were in high school. It was redundant language that we didn't need, and so we removed that language. And then in AR 5117.1, that is the inter-district attendance permits. That would be the language that would take us outside of the DOC process, which is our primary method for having students attend our schools that live outside of our attendance area. By your request, we added a third reason that they would receive an IDA, and that's if a family moves during a school year. Previously, they were asked to enroll in their homeschool at that next grading period, and you indicated as a board that you wanted them to be able to stay the full school year for continuity. And so number 3 was added to ensure that they were allowed to do that. And the final change that was made in AR 5111.1 with regards to the Allen Bill, which is specific only to employees who work within the St. Helena Unified School District, that they would need to be a certificated or classified employee working for a minimum of 15 hours during each school week. Initially, the recommendation was 10 hours, and that's been moved to 15 hours. So with those minor modifications, I would recommend at this time that the board approve Board Policy 5117.
Thank you. Is there anyone who wishes to publicly comment on this agenda item? Trustees, any questions or comments on this agenda item?
I don't. No, but thank you, Dr. Wilson and the team for your work on cleaning all of this up and doing that. I know it was a process, so thank you very much.
There might be an opening on policies next year. Anyway, so is there a motion to approve board policy? Oh, sorry, you have a comment? Go ahead. Go ahead.
I do have a comment. I just really, I know that we did make some decisions that were not the easiest decisions for the administrative staff, and I appreciate their understanding that I think that we really tried to look at students and the families that are impacted by our decisions. And it's a very hard thing to try to make something fair, and then to try to make something that's in the best interests of students and families. And it's hard, and we tried to strike the balance that worked the best. And I know that it's hard for some people that are caught just outside on the edge, for students that maybe are moving out of the district and things like that. It's difficult, but I feel that I just want to say thank you to the administration for being understanding of where the board is coming from on this.
Can I say something?
Of course.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to say the same sentiment in terms of the superintendent and her staff, and then the policy committee as well. For me personally, that study session was really helpful. I still consider myself a fairly new board member, especially around policy, and I think it was good for the community members that were here to kind of just see really how complicated and detailed these policies are. And so I think it's especially since the ones revolving around the enrollment. So I feel like the work that was done was very good to get this kind of in order, so that for us moving forward as board members, we can really look at the policy and have those decisions be a lot easier than they have been in the past. So thank you.
Is there a motion to approve board policy 5117 as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We're on to item number 8B, which is discussion and potential adoption of Resolution 18-20 or Resolution 18-26 interdistrict transfer. Dr. Mary Lou Wilson, please.
Yes, we began talking about the interdistrict transfers in August. And here we are in May. And with regards to the administrative regulations and the changes that we are making, we do know that they are impacting some students. And early on, I believe it was in November or December, the board gave me direction to develop a resolution that would allow the students of our current AVID tutors to continue to be enrolled in our schools as we are moving the AVID tutor piece into a different employee base. So the resolution was developed in draft form, and in concurrence, Erica Madrigal was conducting an attendance audit, a residency audit. And in that residency audit and in our district of choice audit, she found that we have, as a part of the IDA policy, we were allowing siblings of district of choice students to attend our schools, which is in conflict with the district of choice process, because if we had room for them in district of choice, then they would be enrolled as district of choice students. We have a handful of students that are impacted by this policy change. And then in addition, in our residency audit, we found a family where we had a repeated staff error starting in kindergarten, and one of the children is in 7th grade. And so initially I brought forward to you by your request Resolution 1820 that allowed for AVID students and district of choice siblings to continue through their school career. I bring forward to you now an additional Resolution 1826, and I do recommend that the board approve 1826. This allows the district of choice siblings, the AVID tutor students, and the 2 students from this family where staff errors repeatedly allowed them to attend our schools. You have said to me repeatedly that you want to do what's best for students, and these students know no other schools. So at this time, I do recommend passing 1826 and leaving 1820 on the floor.
Is there anyone who wishes to publicly comment on this agenda item?
Good evening, Superintendent Wilson, excuse me, President Conwell, and the St. Helena School Board and district staff. And as always, we thank you for your time. We are the parents of Christian and Isabella Jimenez. I am Brandy Jimenez, and standing beside me is my husband, Ramiro Jimenez. Our children are 2 of the 19 students noted in Exhibit A, and therefore part of Resolution 18-26. For the sake of our children and their overall well-being, we encourage you to please vote and approve Resolution 18-26. We truly appreciate your consideration in approving this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address the board tonight? Trustees?
No, I don't have any questions.
We do have 2 different resolutions,
Right.
so I need to find out if trustees, which ones you would like.
Oh, sorry. Oh,
Which one?
sorry.
Right.
Apologies.
Right. So so we have one that was already explained. That was the original one, which was
Right.
18-20, and then
Right.
there's the new one, 18-26, to
Okay.
account for our 2 new students. Anybody like to comment at this time, or make a motion, or?
No, good.
Well, I would just say that with the 18-26, if that's kind of all the affected students that we're foreseeing, at this point, I think it'd be good to just pass a resolution so that we can kind of set the policy that we're setting moving forward, and so that we can accommodate the students that would be affected. So I recommend to pass a 18-26.
I would agree with that as well.
Okay, I'm getting a lot of head nods, and I'm in agreement as well. So will somebody make a motion, please, to adopt Resolution 18-26?
I'll make a motion to pass Resolution 18-26.
Is there a second?
I'll make a second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We are on to item 8C, which is information and potential approval of the updated district vision and mission statement. Dr. Mary Lou Wilson, please.
Yes, you know that earlier in the school year, you directed myself and the LCAP steering committee to provide you with an update for our vision and our mission statement. And I'm very pleased to let you know that Principal Ben Cinto, as a part of the steering committee and the ad hoc of the steering committee that worked with me on this project, and he is going to share with you some very exciting news.
Good evening. All right. So we aptly titled this PowerPoint our Vision and Mission Refresh because at least in my tenure here now, which is 12 years or 10 in administration, whatever you want to count, we haven't done that. So I think the best thing to capture, and I know all of you were there, is not necessarily the title, but the all the participants on the side. So students, parents, community members, teachers, board members, administration, from both the district and site. So it truly was an effort of our entire school community. And I believe the count was 116, give or take, something like that. So anyway, so here we go. So our process and why this is important, there's a quote that says, you know, ideas are dangerous, right? Because there's a lot of layers to what happens after an idea. So, you know, we talk about policy, we talk about the need to update our vision and mission. Well, what does that actually entail? The decision to do that is pretty easy, right? You say, let's do it. But as I recounted with Dr. Wilson sitting in her office, look at all that entailed just from a process standpoint. So that's the really policy action piece. And then when you think about, okay, so now we have an updated vision and mission, we have to start to implement those things. And that's where the real heavy lifting comes in. So we've facilitated a process that's very robust, you know, 12 steps, a lot of hours involved there, and that just stemmed from a single idea. So we wanted to make sure we capture that because obviously it was important enough to do all of these things here to make sure people were informed along the way and that we got that level of participation. Alrighty, vision. So a vision is, as you know, what we aspire to be. And I think that's really exciting for us because what I see and what everybody reads in here is it really reinforces that what we do in education, it's not a consumer good. It's not something we buy. It's a common good. It's something we do and work towards, and it involves our community, it involves our students, involves our staff. So what, you know, a lot of times some of these things look very intangible. You know, what is an engaging and dynamic learning environment? That's something we're always working to create, and it takes all those participants. So as you start to work backward and how does this inform all the decisions that you make up here every single month? All of those things should be rooted in this vision because that's what we're working towards. So you talk about the future ready classroom proposal that Andy put together. That's grounded in something like this. And we can evidence that every single month. Did you want me to read it or no? What do you think? I think I should, yeah. So our vision is to provide an engaging and dynamic learning environment that inspires a passion for learning and prepares every student to adapt and thrive as a responsible citizen in a rapidly changing world. All right. So our mission, this is what we feel we do now. So again, all of you that sat through the process and collected the notes of all the hundreds and hundreds of people, not hundreds of people, 100+ people sitting there, this is what they felt about our schools. And the questions that were meant to pull out that information, ask these, what are you proud of in your school district? And I know that's not the exact question, but all of these things that that went in to build this mission statement came from what people say is happening within our schools right now. So our mission, St. Helena Unified School District provides academic rigor within a safe and supportive learning environment where students can explore their creativity, collaboratively problem solve, and fully develop as resilient, caring, and responsible individuals, learners, and citizens. My favorite slide, and this is something that I've completely hijacked from Dr. Wilson, is validation and authentication. So as much as I stand before you today, these are not my words that went into the vision and mission, that my words were part of it, but what I went through the, I think it was 16 or some odd page report, and I pulled out quotes that had, and I bolded them for you there, words that ended up appearing in the vision and mission. And I actually went back and tallied each one, and I know it's not going to be wholly accurate because, you know, you take a word like engage, there's engaging, engagement, 21 times, dynamic, 16 times, passion, 16, prepare, 37, rigor, 9, safety, or safe 40, creative 27, collaborative 18, problem solver 11, and citizenship 17. So not that the other quotes and things that people said didn't match that, but Babs Kavanaugh, our facilitator, went through and kind of themed these things. But I think it's just important to know that what ended up in our vision and mission was what the participants had to say about our schools as they exist now and what they want them to be. That's it.
In addition, on the item, the full report from the cafe is attached for your pleasure and your reading. And the LCAP steering committee did spend quite a bit of time theming those responses, and there were hundreds of responses. And a thank you also to Tanya Pearson, principal at the elementary school, who was a part of the ad hoc to create these vision and mission statements, and Babs Kavanaugh. They do come to you tonight as information action. If there are any recommendations that you have with regards to changes, we're happy to hear those. If you embrace them as much as we do, I would recommend that we approve them tonight.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on this agenda item? Trustees, comments?
Thank you, committee, for your work, because I do know how many responses there were to go through, having gone through a section of those myself. So it was a lot of information to extrapolate and to come up with the themes, and I think you did a great job of coming very close to what those statements that came out of that cafe. So thank you very much. I like it.
I do too. I'm very happy with it.
I think these things are always difficult because you want to, when you have something that works, and our old mission statement and vision statements worked, but I'm really happy that we changed them because they were you have to evolve, and it shows that I think it shows that we're always open to improvement when we revisit and we are willing to change and make things better. And I really am happy with the wording and the feeling it gives you. And it just, I think it's inspiring to have the new statements to work forward.
Well said.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank the committee. I was at that first meeting when we talked about this in, what was it, September. So the thing that I've learned here is that process takes time. And so I think it's good for the community as well to know that the involvement piece, I know a lot of times people don't want to get involved or come to these type of committees because they don't think that their opinion matters, but it does. So, and this is a perfect example of taking the input and actually using most of the content from those input gatherings. So I invite anyone on YouTube or the community watching to come join our committees for the upcoming year.
And I too agree that it really captures the essence of what I was hearing that night and what I hear in the community about our schools. And we have that short mantra, of course, of warm, safe, and dry, which is kind of our own little thing, and then you hear the other that's out there with the children of our district, and it's I saw these and I said, wow, it's a big hit. I mean, it was like off the T-ball bat. I mean, it was just a big hit. So I'm fully, these are fantastic to me. So with that, is there a motion to approve the refresh district vision and mission statement?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We're on to item 9, student learning and achievement, public hearing regarding the 2019-2020 Local Control Accountability Plan, LCAP. Mr. Chris Heller.
Thank you. Good evening. The 133-page Local Control Accountability Plan is presented for public hearing this evening, although Dr. Wilson will point out 26 pages in the back are filler, and instructions. But nonetheless, it is presented this evening for community and stakeholder input. As the board knows, this is year 3. We are entering year 3 of a 3-year plan, and I'm happy to report that many of our stakeholders from our various committees have been overwhelmingly positive with the work and support the actions that are in place. But, with any plan, as we talked about, we do go through a period of refinement. And so we presented an executive summary of the, within each goal of the different actions where there's modifications and or deletions to the actions for next year's plan. After tonight's public hearing and board input, we'll continue to work with the county office and our local SELPA to refine certain areas to bring back for final approval in June. And after receiving that approval, pending that approval, we would forward that on to the county office for final approval and implementation in the 2019-2020 school year. I do want to note that this LCAP document is not, while I presented, I am not alone in doing the work for it. I want to acknowledge Mary Allen, who did much of the refinement in the actions, and Andy Stubbs, who did the extensive budget allocation and matching to our actions. So I want to publicly thank them for their work on the LCAP as well. And I present that to the governing board tonight to begin the public hearing.
Thank you very much. So the public hearing for the 2019-2020 Local Control Accountability Plan is now open at time 7:07. And we're waiting for a minute. So when my phone goes off, if nobody wants just to speak, oh, somebody's getting up. I know. Oh, I guess I forgot to read this part, so this will kill some time. Comments during this public period should be limited to the LCAP. It is our goal to hear from all of you who wish to be heard. We now invite the members of the audience to address the Board of Trustees on the LCAP, and you can line up behind the podium. And there we go. The Board of Education has heard your comments and concerns, and we thank you very much for your input. The public hearing is now closed at time 7:08. Trustees, any questions or comments concerning the new LCAP?
Just another comment about the process. Goal 2, Action 7, the hiring of a bilingual science technology. I was at the LCAP group last year, and a lot of parents voiced their opinion about wanting more STEAM instruction in schools and also more Spanish. So I commend this, the hiring of basically bringing two together. And so again, it takes time, but the district is making those positive changes and listening to the stakeholders. So I just wanted to point that out, and thank you for that work.
And my comment would be that it reads really well. It's really good. It really is. I spent a lot of time reviewing this, and there's a lot of information, and I feel that it would be it's important that our community does take a little glance at this and see what we're doing in our schools, because we're doing pretty amazing things. We're always looking to continuous improvement for our students, and we have plans in order to do that. There we have some challenges that we're working through right now, and it's there was things, even being on the board for as long as I have, where I learned a lot through the LCAP as well, just some of the some of the things that we're doing. So thank you very much. It's very thorough. Ms. Allen, thank you very much. It's I guess I'm really excited about it. I mean, so thank you. Thank you. We're going to get you an LCAP. No. And seriously, thank you very much. Thank you.
I of course might extend my gratitude for all the work as well, but it was one of the thoughts I had as well as when I was reading through it, is that it would be great for the community to take a look at that, because as we wind down a school year and look forward to, springboarding into the next one, this really is the process. This is the blueprint, and it shows so much. And I think sometimes, whether it be a parent or board member, sometimes you lose it's there. You can lose sight of it, and it's really important to take a gander at it and see all the good things that are happening. So thank you to everybody.
And I'll say that what's kind of neat about it to me when you read it is that not only does it discuss kind of basically the way the ship's going, the direction we're going and everything, but it also covers our issues or our problem areas, our stumbling blocks, and how we're trying to get more community involved, get more Hispanics involved into, it's just it addresses basically the way we feel. And so it's a very nice reminder, and I think a very good report. So I look forward to having an opportunity in June to approve it.
Thank you.
We are on to item 9B, which is a presentation on English language learner progress, St. Helena Elementary School. Ms. Tanya Pearson, please.
Thank you so much. Let's see. There we go. So I'm really proud and happy to come before you now in May. I last came in November, and at that point was forecasting what we were looking forward to doing, and now looking at some of the data and the results of what we've done and what we're poised to do for next year as well. So an overview of what the population of English language learners are at our school here in the elementary school. There are 56 students that are classified as English language learners. And the breakdown, we're heaviest right now in 3rd and 5th grade. So 21 in 3rd, 14 in 4th grade, and 20 in 5th grade. Last year, this current year, we have 8 reclassified fluent English proficient students that were reclassified last year. And as I've mentioned before, that's based on some language tests, teacher recommendations, parent recommendations, and how they score on the state testing as well. 12 students were reclassified as fluent English proficient students 2 or more years ago. And I include those just because we really work hard to progress monitor them for 5 years to make sure that we haven't reclassified too soon and pulled away some support that's really essential. And we've worked really hard this year to go with 2 of the golden rings, as I call them, that John Hattie researched about what make higher than average growth in a school. For students, we look at the self-reporting student self-reporting goals. If a student sets a goal and then they're able to see that they've achieved more than they expected, then that gives a huge leverage. And then for teachers, can we have a collective teacher efficacy, that as a group of teachers we're working together and targeting really specific targets that we as a group can do better than just single teachers in their own classrooms. So briefly, I'll mention we have a 100-point club goal that's with reading counts. Students read books. They do it on their own time, in the classrooms as well at times, and then they take a test just to show that they've comprehended through vocabulary and some comprehensive questions. Students have a 100-point club as one of their goals. And this just shows that with all of our students, we had 57% already at the 100-point club. With our reclassified students, there were 67%. And then I don't have my glasses, but pretty close there with the ELL, with the language learners as well, that just as a population, they're really holding together. And that reading is really important at home as well. And then just with their achievement, that's the actual students themselves. We have 2 that are not in the 25-point club, and anyone I've shown this to at school is like, who are those kids? We've got to get on them right away, so that it helps us notice that. There are students in the 25, 50, 75. The majority are in the 100 or more, with 7 and 200 or more, and 2 of our language learners already at 300 points or more. And then just for independent reading support, we work as a collective, not only with teachers, but also with families. So classroom conferences, we post the goals, talk about what their progress monitoring, and then do some intervention support just with their independent reading, let alone the targeted instruction in class as well. And how much does reading count? So this gives us a better measure. It's the Scholastic Reading Inventory, and that measures the progress towards the end of the year Lexile level of proficiency. We take it 4 times during the year, and this was the results at February 28th, so 6 months into the school year. We'll take it one more time on between March 28th to March 30th to see where we are as we approach the very end of the year. But already by February 28th, you can see with just our English-only students, we had 76% were already proficient or advanced, 8% there at the below basic, and then others that were approaching proficiency. With our reclassified students, so proud to see that we actually had a higher percentage already proficient or advanced. That was 79% at that point were proficient and advanced, and 21% were approaching it, with none of the students below basic. So that really helped us see that we have, I think, made the right identification, and we're continuing to support their progress. With our language learners, we at that point had 25% already at that end of the year proficiency target, 50% were approaching it, and 25% were still significantly below with below basic that are getting some really strategic intervention supports. And this shows how they've progressed from August, October to February, just with their Lexile level. I chose to just show you just open up to see all of our students and see what that looks like just on whole. So you'll see on the left, that's the students that were reclassified this last year. Their average is 119 points Lexile level growth. So though there are some really high and then there's some that are low, we'll see that we really move towards almost everybody being at the proficiency level already by that point. And then with the ones that were proficient reclassified 2 years prior to that, the average is 134 points of Lexile growth. I'm really proud to see a lot of those students proficient, and 3 are already at the advanced level at that point of the year. I'm looking forward to see where they are by this time as well. And then our 3rd grade Lexile level growth, the average there is 166 points of growth. Just they're getting so much support with not only a lot of them are in what we call Systems 44. Our 3rd grade teachers this year, as I've mentioned, have also taken some BGLAD training, and that gives really specific targeted language structure in addition to what they do with the designated and the integrated ELD. We have that through Benchmark, and then also are supporting it through some of our other strategies with BGLAD. As a concerted effort, they've actually used some of their SMART goals. Last year, they've only were targeting math, and this year, the 3rd grade worked on some language goals as well to really see how the whole group of them are doing the best practices to support learning. 4th grade, again, is a smaller group that we're working with, but they do have 122 just on average of Lexile growth. And then what we like to see, many less of the red and more of the green as they're moving forward. I have that organized in both of those charts and what you'll see also in 5th grade. If you notice where it says the LPAC level, it just shows the higher the LPAC level, what we call bridging, and then it's organized down to the lower level. In this past one, it did include one that's emerging, is a close to non-language producer, so he's in the special ed program and is not at that point of taking the SRSI test, but does still get his language learning tracked, and we still do work towards having some IEP goals for him as well. And then 5th grade. So that 5th grade is 108 points of Lexile level, just on average. And again, organized in that same way, making progress and growth. And really excited. So just 2 different slides, the last 2 slides here. The first is just showing what we're doing with our professional development plans from our consultants and outside agencies that are coming in to help us. We'll continue applying our WestEd ELD coaching or English language development coaching. On the left, you're going to see, we had other instructors. I really only think of John Paul because he worked with our TK5 program and is fabulous. At the top, you'll see him working here in the boardroom. He was teaching all of the teachers in the summer right before we started school. And then he worked with our fifth graders, with our fifth grade teachers, 3 times already for 3 release days, and he's got a 4th day coming up on May 30th. We targeted 5th grade because they were the biggest, well, they were a large group, and we also wanted to do as much as we could to impact them and to help them grow before they moved on to the RLS. So there on the middle one, you'll see he's actually working in the classroom as a model teacher, not only helping our teachers set goals, and they would set goals that they needed to accomplish between his visits, but he'd also come in and show best practices in place that they then practiced as he left. And then just on the bottom, the students working on really interactive types of writing and the work that he was able to do with them. Next year, we expect to expand that support like the 5th grade team teachers received and have more teachers work with John Paul as well as we expand to more staff members. We'll also encourage staff to attend the Supporting ELs in Math conference. It's June 12th to 14th. And that is going, it's actually drawing people in from all over the state and perhaps further. But it's just an extremely good conference. It's similar to what the administrators went to in San Diego, where we first did a lot of this training last summer. And we're encouraged, and that helped us really want to bring it to our district this year. And they're actually coming to do a homegrown sort of like in our own district where a lot of our teachers will be able to attend. We had some of like a sample of what that would look like of English language development in math, and our teachers were able to apply math language concepts to help them be able to explain their thinking in math with a lot more complexity, being able to read word problems better, unpack some of what they're being asked for and what that cognitive load is in the math vocabulary, and be able to replicate it in their own work. He'll be able to, the coaches that come will be able to help do that. And then we also are planning in this last few weeks to do some exemplar video banks because our 5th grade team works so hard. The students are poised with a lot of engagement strategies, working on explaining their thinking, which is a high depth of knowledge. And we want to capture what they've learned this year so that we can show what the learning should look like in future years. So we'll be videotaping some of that, using that as professional development with our own teachers, and being able to induct new teachers. We've got 3 new teachers coming in next year. So wanting to hit the ground running and have them learn from what's already just happened this year. And then finally, internally, what we'll do site-based for next year, one thing we always do, but we'll continue to do, is we balance our English language learner distribution across all the classrooms. So really make sure that everyone's got an equal balance. Also, our grade level teams and support staff will keep looking at the language needs as measured by some of our larger assessments like the LPAC, which is the language learner specific for English, the spoken, reading, written, and auditory processing, our CASP, which is our state test, the measures of academic progress, and the student reading inventory data, as well as some of just our classroom observations. And that will help us with our intervention efforts. So Systems 44, Read 180, some of our targeted groups, and what we're doing in our designated time as well. Then our professional learning communities will continue to implement integrated and designated ELD plans in their actual structures of their SMART goals and the work that they do collectively. Systems 44 and Read 180, that will continue as an intervention. What I love is that the years that we've had it now, it's not a full year, you are now a Systems 44 child all year. We continue to look to see, can we graduate people out? And there are students that exit the program even during the year. And then they get progress monitored. If they need to, they can come back in, but that's a goal, is to get kids in the classroom all the time. But if they're not quite ready, give them a big boost of support and then back in when they're ready to get back on track. All staff will use Seesaw, so that's one of our platforms. It's like an electronic portfolio that students are able to put information in, speak about some of the work that they're doing. We do a lot of that with math explanation, but we want to do more systematically so that people are doing it in periodically during the year, and that can ideally be something where students can hear their own growth over the course of years. And that's more the longitudinal language samples. And then we'll also support and improve our independent reading achievement through that student and family goal setting. We bring it up when we're talking with our with our ELAC group. We bring it out with newsletters. We've got a lot of the goals posted up on our walls. So being really explicit about reading as that linchpin for really being solid growth in science, math, reading, language, everything. It's a really, really important goal. And then our grade level PLCs, like I said, and professional development meetings, all will make sure that we're targeting our ELD standards and the work that we're doing as well. Yeah, any questions? Thank you.
Any public comment? Trustees, questions, comments?
I think I'm just more of a curiosity. For these students that are identified as ELL, and you see the growth that they're making, obviously, from February to August.
August to February.
Yes, thank you. So what happens over the summer? Are they given family and student goals to try to maintain at least where they are so that they don't come back in August and perhaps have dropped even further for some reason?
You know, we give them all, actually Leslie comes in from the library and she talks to all classes about what summer reading program and the incentives that the public library even has. We also have, even just today, Mary Ellen sent something out with News ELA, some of the programs that they're able to use at home. They'll continue to have access to that. We also have, I work with all the library media specialists in the district. We recently had someone come out from the consortium that they have through NAPA, and there are some Michelle Halp just pushed out I won't call it an app because it's more of a Chrome extension, but it's a way that they can access books online. They can actually download it somewhere where there is Wi-Fi, and then they can have it regardless if they have Wi-Fi or not at home. And that's something called the Sora app. Yeah, so in addition to a few other apps that they use at school, they'll be able to keep using some of that and get that encouragement. There's a little bit of summer school also, so that, you know, summer school boosts too for some of them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Yeah.
And with that, then, do they don't have access to the Chromebook during the summertime, though, do they?
No.
No. So that would be where they would need to. Is there a place where they to check that out?
You
or
know, there's
anything?
Boys and Girls Club. Their library
perfect.
has
Yeah,
some
yeah,
Chromebooks
yeah,
and stuff,
perfect.
or
Yeah,
some
great.
computers. So
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. Great.
You may not. I'm sure you don't have the data on the top of your head, but I'm kind of interested. Ballpark of our fifth graders that are not reclassified, about how many have been with us from kindergarten, and about how many have entered our district at a later time.
I don't know that, but I'll look for that. and I'll
But
get back to you.
that does play a role.
Yeah.
Would you think, or do you see
Definitely.
that? Do you see that somewhat that some of the students that we may be getting in at say in third or fourth grade, they might not be?
You know, I can think, like last year, I know we had 6 new students in 5th grade. 5 of them ended up being still below basic with the state testing. 1 was not. So I think that those students will definitely make exceptional progress within our system, but they do definitely sometimes have those needs. The Lexile level is one thing. I did want to just highlight a super quick thing that is like the step towards the CASP is our measures of academic progress. And just 2 quick nuggets with our math map, with our language learners. Normally it's about a 4 to 8 point growth within the year, but we were able to have, there were 41% of them had 10 points or more growth in math, 15% had 16 or more points. And then with ELA, we had 48% at 10 points or more by the spring map test, and 23% of them were 16 or more points. And a lot of that was 96%, 98% growth, so it was really exciting to see, and looking forward to the map tests that come up the CASP.
That's great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much.
Thank
It's
you.
great news. We're on to item number 9C, which is consideration of social science curriculum adoption for implementation for the 2019-2020 school year. Miss Mary Allen.
I meant to bring the textbooks in, and they're right across the hall, so I apologize on that. So this is an extensive process that we do with piloting textbooks all the way to adoption, and we've gone through that process before with the presentation. But we do publishers workshops. We do a presentation. The teachers select 2 textbooks they want to pilot. So for grades 6 through 12, we had 2 companies, McGraw-Hill and Pearson. We piloted for 6 weeks each, and the selection is Pearson that they would like to recommend for adoption. It'll be on review for 30 days. The textbooks are over in the office, main office here, and I'll certainly have some up at RLS as well as the high school that parents can see.
Thank you. Is there any public comment? Trustees, any questions or comments? Just a reminder, this is information only.
No, I just have a quick. How many committee members are there usually on these committees?
For the 6-12, it's all the history teachers.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it's all of the teachers in the subject then. Yes. Okay. Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. We're on to item number 9D, California Interscholastic Federation Annual Report from St. Helena High School. This is a written report, so I guess I'll start off and find out if there's any public comments. None. Trustees, any questions or comments concerning this written report? Okay.
I do want to say, though, I appreciate that we have this every year, though. It's nice to see, and there wasn't a lot of major injuries or anything either, so that's always really nice to see. Always good.
We are on to item 10, Human Resources, consideration for approval of the 2019-2020 Declaration of Need. Mr. Chris Heller, please.
Thank you. This annual action item will certify that district has made efforts to recruit and retain credentialed teachers in their field of study. While the district doesn't employ teachers without credentials, and we don't have short-term interns or well, I won't even go into those, but just interns in general. We do assign a few placeholders in case of unforeseen events or shortages of teachers, but we don't anticipate that. So it's recommended the governing board approve tonight's declaration of need to provide greatest flexibility just in case unforeseen events do occur.
Is there any public comment? Trustees, any questions or comments concerning this agenda item? Is there a motion to approve the 2019-2020 Declaration of Need as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We're on to item 11, the consent agenda. Is there any item that a trustee would like to pull for further clarification?
You know, I would like just to pull the, contracts under $25,000.
So 11C?
11C, please.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there anyone who wishes to publicly comment on this agenda item? Trustees, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda minus item 11C?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda minus 11C.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. So item 11C is approval of contracts under 25,000.
And Mike, this is only just a question on what the Escape the Bus experience is.
Really exciting. So actually, Corinne Cox and I attended a presentation by Travis Allen, who is the founder of the iSchool Initiative, which is a nationwide initiative to support school districts in being innovative and using all the modern technology tools with students. And so one of their programs is this Escape the Bus. And so if you're familiar with escape rooms, they create kind of an escape room scenario in a school bus, and so staff will be going through that experience to model critical thinking skills and problem-based learning, and then also be exposed to innovative tech tools. And so we're really excited about that, and it's a reasonable price for the 2 days, and we'll do that in conjunction with some other professional development activities that day, and the board will be invited to participate in the hour-long experience as well. We'll be challenged to do that.
I just want to add that I did my first escape room when I was a chaperone in New York City just last week, and talk about having to utilize collaboration, critical thinking, and in 60 minutes, it was a challenge, and it was great. So I was reading them and I thought, oh, what a great team building experience, because it definitely caused us to work together as a team, and we talked about it for an hour afterwards about those skills needed. So kudos.
Oh, nicely done. Nice.
Okay. Wow. All right.
I'll make a motion to.
And that's what I'm looking for 11C.
I'll make a motion to approve 11C. Approval of. Go ahead. 11C.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion's carried. We're on to item 12, which is business and operations. Request for approval of contracts over $25,000. Ms. Stubbs, please.
Thank you. And the three items that you see here would grant the district staff permission to purchase some technology for next year. We need to replace the first and second grade iPads at the primary school. And so that's the first purchasing agreement that you see. The second with Dell would be for laptop refresh for the incoming 9th grade students. And then finally, the Promethean screens would be part of our Future Ready Classrooms program implementation group number 1. And so our English language arts teachers and our student support staff at the high school have met and determined that they would each like a Promethean screen similar to what we have at RLS in their classrooms as part of their classroom redesign. And so one thing that I wanted to point out about the Apple iPads and the laptops at the high school is that we're now getting on to a refresh cycle where we're doing one grade level at each school a year. So incoming kinders, incoming 3rd graders, incoming 6th graders, and then incoming 9th graders. And so that helps us to budget a little bit better and plan out and purchase the latest and greatest tools instead of doing an entire school at a time. So we're beginning to stage it that way. And then during the June board meeting, you'll be able to hear the proposals, I believe, for our Future Ready Classrooms complete project. So with that, I would ask for the board to consider approving these 3 purchasing agreements.
Thank you. Is there any public comment? Trustees, any questions or comments concerning these? Is there a motion to approve contracts over $25,000?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Yeah. Gotta go fast. Gotta go fast. And that's right. All right. Item 12B, 2019-2020 budget assumptions, fourth board review. Ms. Andy Stubbs, please.
Thank you. And this is the fourth review of the budget assumptions for the 1920 budget. And we just have a few items that are highlighted in yellow. We can go through them. These are relatively small changes. We're projecting our district of choice revenue next year, for example, to be $130,804 instead of $109, and that has to do with the number of students that we have in that program. And then as we cursor through, here's another change to some of the state funding that we do receive. And then also this has to do with special ed. We receive some restricted funding for mental health services, and so I'm pleased to report that that amount that we're projecting for 1920 is a little higher now at $78,000. Our workers' compensation rate went down, which I'm pleased to report. And the budget that the board will approve in June includes, instead of $50,000 as a contribution to our post-employment benefit trust, I'm recommending that we contribute $100,000 to that each year. And it's still a little bit less. We're doing some analysis. It's probably still a little bit less than our actuary consultants advise to really fund that well, but we'll be doing some further review next year. And then we have some updated allocations for our school sites. We're learning that we need to decentralize some more funds for technology at the sites, for example, for peripherals and keyboards and cartridges and things. We're not really spending any more money on those things than we have in recent years, but it's just easier to decentralize it so that the sites have some discretion about that. And then here, this is just some language that has to do with the state requirement for our restricted routine maintenance account. During the Great Recession, districts did not have to make a contribution to routine restricted maintenance, but now that we're coming out of those years, we have a greater requirement, so that language just captures that requirement. Our technology budget is larger because what I'm trying to do now is also enfold our telecommunications in that overarching budget. And so before we had all of those telecommunications expenses, but they just lived elsewhere. But now I'm trying to capture them all under the category of technology and even do some recoding so it's easier to pull up those expenses. With our food services contribution, we're going to need to increase that a little bit next year. And you see it's about $10,000, and later on when we look at the budget, you're going to see that we've got a surplus in 1920 of about $10,000. So we may not need all of that additional contribution, but we also have some small equipment replacement needs that we're going to have to meet. And then we are still finalizing our staffing for next year. And some time ago, the Academic Excellence Subcommittee made a recommendation about adding an additional FTE to support Spanish and other enrichment activities. And so we still have that placeholder there for next year, and we're finalizing the staffing. I think that wraps it up for changes since the last time the board reviewed these, and then these will be included in the budget that you'll see for the next item.
Is there any public comment on this agenda item? Trustees, any questions or comments? Okay, all sounds good.
No, thank you. I was actually looking at this prior year archived assumptions. That's a great idea to include those on there. Yeah.
Thank you, yeah.
We are on to item number 12, which is a draft of the 2019-20 original budget, board review, and public hearing. Ms. Andy Stubbs.
Thank you. And if we take a look at slide 2, this evening we're conducting the public hearing for the 2019-20 original budget, much like we conducted the hearing for the 1920 LCAP, and now these public hearings and the documents go along with them, or go together, pardon me. And so here you can see some of the factors that go into preparing the 1920 budget, and then also we are filing a positive certification for 1920 in the next 2 fiscal years, which means that we're solvent and able to meet our financial obligations. And then this shows just our financial reporting timeline. We do 3 reports each year plus the unaudited actuals, and we have currently wrapped up building the budget and the financial database. We'll have a couple of updates, which we will highlight for the board in June when the board considers approval of the 1920 budget on June 20th. These are the different funds that we utilize with our budget. And mainly we'll be talking about Fund 01 for the next few tables. This slide here shows our multi-year projection at a very high level over the next 3 years. And so as you can see, we're able to meet our minimum 3% reserve requirement, and the surplus to the general fund is shown in the pink there. In 1920 with approximately $25,000 contributed as a surplus to the fund balance. About $364,000 in 2021, and almost $684,000 in 21-22. And then these are some of the assumptions that go into the revenue. We're budgeting for 3% property tax growth each year. And then down at the bottom there, you'll note that there is a transfer in from our special reserve in Fund 17 for the STRS retirement incentive. And what we're trying to do there is use a little bit of the reserve to pay off the one-time retirement incentive costs in a lump sum so that we can avoid paying 7.5% interest. And these are the assumptions that go into the expenses, and so you can see that we're budgeting about 2% for step and column. The governor has brought down our STRS rate for 1920 and for 2021 a little bit, so that's great. And then as you can see, we level off with our STRS, those STRS increases that we had for several years. PERS, we're seeing a little bit of a reduction there, but still some increases in the out years. And you can see that we have our 2 paraeducator positions budgeted starting next year and then ongoing, and then our Future Ready Classrooms program, which we talked about at second interim. I just now noticed a little bit of an error. We're budgeting $150,000 above the line in our expenditure accounts for the Future Ready Classrooms, and that's ongoing, so we're not adding to that in the out years. It's just going to be the steady $150,000 in each of those years. And then there's the cost of the STRS and PERS retirement incentive payoff of about $643,323. We are paying for 2 retirees in this current year with CalPERS, and I believe that amount is approximately $80,000. And then in 2021, we would then transfer back out that $150,000 that we borrowed from Fund 17 in order to balance the budget in 1920. Then we transfer that back out in 2021. And so then that STRS expense goes away. And then with our fund balance, with our savings account, so to speak, we always want to make sure that we're earmarking portions of that for things that we know we have to reserve money for in case we ever have lean financial times again. So these would be dollars that we wouldn't want to spend on anything else. And so we're anticipating that PERS is going to continue to rise, so we want to set aside a little bit of a fund balance for that. And then also technology infrastructure, when we spend down the remaining portion of Fund 21, which is our Measure B and Measure C bond proceeds, we want to have some dollars set aside in the general fund to cover any infrastructure needs that we might have with equipment replacement and so forth. Same thing with student mobile devices. And then should the board decide to make any new programmatic decisions, we want to make sure we've got dollars reserved for those, as well as unexpected operational costs. It's very common in a school district for there to be unexpected legal expenses or new special education costs, transportation changes, and so forth. And then the board over the past few years has demonstrated a real commitment to supporting student mental health services. And the restricted dollars that we used to get, that we do still get to support that, have shrunk over the past few years. And so we're setting aside about $75,000 to support that if the additional restricted dollars go away. And then we received a Kaiser grant of $381,000 a couple of years ago, and we have committed those funds to support wellness goals at the sites and field trips, and so we want to make sure that we're reserving that as well as some other site discretionary dollars. And then the next couple of slides give you a snapshot of our other funds. And so we talked a little bit already about child nutrition in Fund 13, and you can see the ending balance there of about $10,000. So our contribution of Fund 13 is increased for next year by about $10,000, and I'm thinking I'm going to need to use a little bit of that for some equipment. But if we don't need all of it, then of course we won't need to make quite as large a contribution. And then we have some dollars set aside in our deferred maintenance, which we're going to be talking about with the facility committee next week. The special reserve in Fund 17, that's where we are trying to build up the reserve to meet that secondary board reserve goal that we have of 33% of our excess property taxes. And then we do have a set aside in our own funds for our post-employment benefits of about $200,000 that the board approved, I think several years before I arrived in the district, and so it's good that we have that to mitigate that liability. The dollars left in Fund 21 are allocated for technology infrastructure, and again, the facility committee next week is going to be looking at spending some of the fund balance in our developer fees and also our special reserve for capital outlay. And with that, I would ask if the board had any questions prior to beginning the public hearing.
Excuse me. Public hearing for the 2019-20 original budget is now open at time 7:50. Comments during this public hearing should be limited to only the budget. It is our goal to hear from all of you that wish to be heard. Please stand up, line up behind the podium, and if there's an excess, you can go out the door and down the steps and outside by the flag. Once again, I don't see everybody just jumping up to go right into the public comment right now. I was reminded I did not gavel to open, so I could start it all over again and gavel, or I think at this point in time I'm going to gavel to close, if everybody's comfortable with that.
Let's do a double gavel.
A double gavel. Okay, I think I'm going to do that. And now we're at 6, 5, 4.
Well done.
Thank you. Oh, there you go. See, we're done. Public hearing is now closed at time 7:51. Trustees, any questions or comments about the 2019-2020 original budget?
As always, it's very thorough, and I'm just glad that you present this on a regular basis because it really keeps us abreast of everything that's going on. So thank you. Thank you. As always, thank you.
I would like to chime in that I appreciate the assigned reserves slide. It's very nice to see that we are planning for the future. I also love to see us paying off our PERS and STIRS in whole and not doing a 7.5% or whatever it is, just to pay those off, and also trying to get to the goal of the 33%. So to me, we're doing everything, and I'm very happy with what's going on. So thank you for your attention to detail.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And my note was as well that I really appreciated the assigned reserves too. So thank you very much. That's a nice slide to have.
Okay, we're on to item number 12, which is a grant approval to reject all bids received for the 2019 interior painting project for St. Helena High School, RLS, and St. Helena Elementary School. Ms. Andy Stubbs, please.
Thank you. And a couple of board meetings ago, the board approved a budget of $215,000 for interior painting across the district. And Greystone West, our construction management firm that helps us with some of these items, had recommended that budget. And so they helped us to go out for bid, but the bids came back very high. And so we went out and bid each of these projects individually, and they came back a minimum collectively of about $55,000 over budget. And so in talking with Greystone West about this, they said that they stuck by their original budget figure, the $215,000, and they suggested that we reject all bids. And so they're going out and talking with some painters now, and if we can't get closer to budget, then we may wait and postpone and go back out to bid closer to winter break, maybe when we can get some more reasonable numbers. So I would recommend that the board reject all bids.
Is there any public comment on this agenda item? Trustees, any questions or comment?
No, I think you just answered it too. You answered it, Andy, that Greystone West wants to stick with their original budget, correct? Of what they project. Okay. All right. Perfect. Thank you.
Is there a motion to grant approval to reject all bids received in the 2019 interior painting project, St. Helena High School, RLS, and Elementary School as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion's carried. We are on to item 13 under communication. We got Superintendent Subcommittee reports. Budget Committee. Jeannie or Lisa?
Do you want me to? Do you want to take it on? Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, yeah. So the meeting, the budget meeting, it was the last one of the year, was on Wednesday, April 24th, and we started out with the all of the from the fiscal report, kind of the legislations that the updates on all of the legislature that's out there, and there's actually quite a bit as far as what, you know, maybe that may affect us in some way. So we went through that quite thoroughly, which was really interesting. And then we went over the budget figures that she went over just now, the budget forecast, and you know, kind of just wrapped up the year. We talked a little bit more about the ILEP Future Ready Classrooms, and then just had some input from the foundation and the parent group. Is there anything else, Lisa, that you can think of?
Just the other potential exciting news would be that the committee will be renamed.
Oh, please, quick.
Business Operations Committee. That's all I'm going to tell you right now, so stay tuned.
All right, the crowd's excited about that. We're really picking it up. Okay. Curriculum Technology Innovation Committee, Julio Maria, April 23rd.
That's right, I was there. I didn't remember that you weren't there. So we did go over we went over the new textbook adoption. I don't have my notes. We listened also to... Someone's going to have to help me out because I don't have my notes. We had the textbook adoptions that we've already talked about. And Mary Ellen, do you... The health framework. That's...
Mary, could you please come to the microphone?
Sorry.
Sorry about that. We were discussing the new health framework that would be coming down that's currently going through review at the state level for possible implementation in 2020.
And we also went over the Future Ready Classrooms.
Yes, we did.
Okay, excellent. Equity, Climate, and Culture. Mary Lou. Nope. Julio.
Yeah, I was there for that one. That one we met on April 16th. I think Mary Ellen talked about the LBTGQ and some of the things that they have planned for next year. They're going to have a parent information night sometime in the fall. And then also discuss how the district is working on the designation terms for district students. So all the registration forms are going to be updated to allow students to acknowledge their gender. Based on the Gender Recognition Act. And then Tamara Sanguinetti reported to the group about the multicultural activities at the primary school. She also reported that on May 3rd, the parent group at the primary school and elementary school voiced they'd like to see basically more opportunities for all cultures to be celebrated. So our committee brainstormed just of ways of doing that. And so we kind of compiled a list of some of the different cultures that we could possibly celebrate. And so we're going to be working with the parents, staff to kind of just have more events, activities on campus and within the community to kind of give students and families just the opportunity to learn about other cultures. So I think that's important. And then last, we reflected on the committee and the work being done there. And for me personally, this was I think my second year, but this was my first year as a renamed committee with the new mission and the new kind of goals. So I was just very happy to be part of this group. Definitely felt like we were making some changes moving forward next year, but very excited to be part of that. And like always, looking for new diverse groups, so new parents, new teachers, and a student voice for next year. So if anyone's interested.
Great. Last one I've got on my list is LCAP Steering Committee, Julio and Lisa on April 18th. Okay.
Perhaps I could
Sure, why
provide
don't
an
we
update.
go that way.
The LCAP Steering Committee did look at the draft vision and mission and recommended that we bring that to you. Each of our principals over the course of the year have been sharing challenges with the committee, and at this meeting they shared one of their successes from their action plan. You'll recall that in June you'll receive a study session with regards to all of our principals reporting on all aspects of their action plans. They celebrated one with us at the last steering committee. If I could also just give a teaser, yes, we do have superintendent subcommittee meetings regularly, and each of you volunteer to participate on a couple of them. And at our June board meeting, we will be making new assignments.
Dun, dun, dun. Okay, that brings us to item number 14, future agenda items. I have a suggestion in the future that all these little dots should have numbers next to them so we can see how many new agenda items we have for next month in June. It's always a busy one. Anyone wish to add anything to June?
If I could add that we have a special meeting on Monday morning at 8:30.
Correct. Trustees, Monday morning, 8:30. Okay. Takes us to item number 15, adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion's carried.
Thank you.
Somebody
Good night.
lost.